the final countdown. The final countdown.
Welcome back to Boom Knowledge, post AEP edition. The final countdown is over and AEP is behind us. Congratulations, you made it. Now it's time to focus on some time away from work and enjoying the holiday season. Pretty soon, however, 2017 will begin, both in terms of the new year and also our work year. So today's Boom Knowledge will be about goal setting, how to forecast your time and effort that's to come to make it some of the most productive it can be. Let's get started. First, remember, motivation is the key, so pick a goal that motivates you. Make sure it will take a high priority in your life and require a sense of urgency in order to complete. Goals that are easy or irrelevant probably aren't worth meeting in the first place, and the likelihood of you following through is pretty small. And here's a tip. When writing down the goal, don't just write down the what, but also the why. Times will get tough. You'll lose your determination and your focus, and sometimes you might wonder why the goal was on the list in the first place. When you go back and look at it and you see why it was important to you, the chances are that you'll follow through and be successful in 2017 and beyond. Next, make sure you're setting up SMART goals. And honestly, we could do a whole edition of Boom Knowledge just on this one point. That's good food for thought for later. But in the meantime, make sure that your goals are specific. So, I'm going to be awesome probably isn't specific enough. And let's face it, you already are. Make sure your goals are measurable. So, I'm going to do better with DSNP in 2017 probably isn't measurable, so you'll want to put more into it than that. Make sure your goal is attainable. So, I'm going to be quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers probably isn't realistic. I should set my goals way lower than that, like being the quarterback for the Bengals. Hi, Cincinnati. Make sure your goals are relevant. So, it has to be important to your life. Remember those priorities that we talked about earlier. And lastly, the T, make sure it's time-bound or time-sensitive, so you can hold yourself accountable later. If you're smart with your goals, you'll also be smart when you meet them. Also, make sure you put your goal down in writing. Now, if you were fortunate enough to be with us at the sales conference in Dallas, you might remember Mike Rayburn, and in our keynote speech, he made sure that he brought this point home. By putting it down on paper, not only can you post it somewhere so you won't forget it, but it also makes your goal real. So make sure you put it down on paper. Make sure you post it somewhere where you're going to be reminded of it later, and there's no excuse for it to slip your mind. Write it down positively, take ownership in it, and it'll help you with the next step, which is make an action plan. Something else we talked about in Dallas back in 2015. All the goals in the world are great, but if you don't have a pathway to meeting them, they're largely hypothetical. So as you're developing your goals, also take a few minutes to develop an action plan. How am I going to get there? Your action plan can be incremental, and as you meet certain goals along the way, reward yourself. We've talked about that before on Boom Knowledge. The key, though, is to have a plan of action to get you ultimately toward reaching your goal. You're going to be better for it. One last thing. Stick with it. Hey, goal setting's hard. Sometimes meeting our goals can be pretty challenging. Along the way, you may decide your goals change, or the path that you're on needs to go in a different direction, and you'll have to be flexible. That's okay. I mean, that's life. It's all about the trip, not the destination. We all should be on an upward trajectory, getting better and better, each year reinventing ourselves. Congratulations on 2016. It's been awesome. And the company is looking to us to make 2017 even better. I mean, remember, AEP is only about 300 days away. That's a new countdown, and this is Boom Knowledge.